Coach, what up, my man? How you doing? Thanks so much for joining us today. I know it's early on the West Coast, but thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me. We're very appreciative to be here and share the morning with you.
Yeah, really excited to have you on, man. So Undefeated start where this show is Heat Check. We talk about the hot topics, and you guys are as hot as anybody starting off to a 4-0 start. I know the other part that's challenging is kind of dealing with the new things going on with the COVID restrictions and kind of things going on in your county. So I'm throwing two at you at once. Talk about the start to the year and also talk about just the adjustments and how you've kind of been able to make it work and figure out how to still keep winning.
Man, that's a lot. That's a lot there. Where do I start? It's been a whirlwind here the last few weeks, but I'll start with our team. And the one thing that I can say is I'm really proud of our guys because we've already been through a lot in this short season, but our guys have shown great resilience. We had a great offseason. Our guys have really done an incredible job of from the point they came back, they made it a priority that they wanted this season to be special. And we had a great offseason, and guys really did a good job of not only doing a good job on the court, but really trying to take care of things off the court and being safe. And we've been put in a bubble on campus. We've just, there's no students on campus. They've had to hang out basically with each other this entire time. So it's been a challenging, experience for these guys, but I have to give them all the credit in the world. They've stuck with it. They've stayed together. And we've gotten off to a good start. And I think a big reason for that is we've had a renewed emphasis on toughness and defense going into the season. And I really think that's helped us get off to a great start. I mean, we're holding our opponents to 32% from the field, 26% from three. And our guys are really, really embracing the defensive side of the ball. And it helps that we're a little older. Last year, we had no seniors on the roster. We were, if not the youngest, one of the youngest teams in our conference by far. And this year, 7 of our top 9 guys back, and with only 1 freshman on the roster this year, as opposed to starting 2 last year. So we're a more experienced team, and I think we're a tougher team this year. And I think that's helped us get off to a very good start, even when our offense is not nearly where it will be. Our defense has been consistent, and it's helped us get to get off to the start. But Brian, to the second part of your question, man, we could be on here for the next hour talking about all the things that we've had happen to us here with COVID. And it all started with we opened up the season with our own tournament at Santa Clara, and we were fortunate enough to get 3 games in 4 days. And after we beat Nichols on Saturday, that night and then Sunday morning, we found out that Santa Clara County was shutting down sports. It affected not only us, but Stanford, San Jose State, and even the San Francisco 49ers. So if you know that they're shutting down the NFL, it's a pretty big deal. So we literally, as of last Sunday, a week ago, we didn't have a place to practice and we didn't have a place to play. And with Monday coming and getting ready for games the following week. So that entire Sunday, our athletic director and our unbelievable administration, our coaching staff, we just hit the phones, and we must have made 40 phone calls each trying to figure out where we're going to practice, where we're going to be able to play. And our athletic director was able to pull it off, and she found us the G League Golden State Warriors facility in Santa Cruz, California, which is just outside Santa Clara County, which allows us to practice there and play. But it's just too far to commute. It's about an hour each way. So we've had to take our entire program and move to Santa Cruz. So we on Monday, we practiced there just to get a feel for it, came back, packed up on Monday night. And then on Tuesday morning, we drove back out to Santa Cruz, and we've made that our home base. So we've been playing games there. We were able to play a game on Wednesday against Bakersfield and practice there on a daily basis. And then we had a game Saturday set up against New Mexico State, and then it got canceled because of COVID issues again. So I'll tell you what, our guys have been resilient. They've been through a lot. And then to take it a step further, we couldn't get into the Warriors facility this week. So we came on the road to Cal Poly, and we're here in Pismo Beach right now and making the commute to San Luis Obispo each day for practice. And we play them on Wednesday. So it's been nuts.
Yeah, sounds like a lot. What would you say, just from your team's perspective, what has been maybe the biggest obstacle, or just how has everyone adjusted to this? Because I mean, you had a laundry list of things that have happened to you in just the last week or so. So just what has that adjustment been like for your team?
Yeah, I think that it's the mental part. It's the mental part that really wears on these guys because they're young men and they're used to being on a college campus. They're used to interacting with their friends, having a social life, being able to, as simple as go out to dinner with their friends. And all of that is taken away right now. And we kind of take that stuff for granted, but when it's taken away, especially for young men, I think it wears on them mentally. And I know that's something that we have to keep a close eye on. And we've been trying to be creative and do things together, but there's really not much you can do. So I think that's been the hardest part for us, is for our guys to just really have to give up all those things that they're used to, and then at the same time still focusing on school, and at the same time go to practice every day and focus in on preparation for games that may or may not happen. So I think it's the mental game. It's the mental game. And I think the teams that can stay together, that can stay mentally locked in and overcome these types of adversities, are going to end up having the most success in this crazy season.
As a staff, how do you kind of reinforce maybe things like camaraderie, or just focusing on the team and kind of trying to limit all the distractions that are going on and all of the last second changes? What do you have to do that you honestly haven't had to do in any other type of season?
I think the fact that we've been displaced and we have to take the entire program to a hotel, it allows the coaches to even have more interaction with the players than they normally would otherwise. And I think that helps because now we get to interact with them consistently. We get to pass them in the hallway. We get to have film sessions with them in the evenings. We can just have more interaction with them. When we're picking up dinner, we can't even have dinner together. We have to pick up our dinner and go take it to the room. But just having those more interactions with our guys, really talking with them more consistently, hearing their thoughts, hearing their feelings and concerns. And I think it helps us, talk about those things more easily and openly. So I think it's kind of a blessing in disguise that we've been all together in Santa Cruz here for a week, and are going to continue that for the next few weeks.
One of the things that Brian and I talked about just at the top of this show is we've kind of noticed a trend with some of the older teams, at least, or more experienced teams, kind of looking a little bit better in the first couple of weeks of the season, and maybe some other rosters that have been led by transfers or some freshmen coming in have had a little bit more struggles. With your team now being more experienced, bringing most of the guys back, do you find that to be an advantage, especially in a season like this, where if you were to bring in, say, 4 or 5 guys, just adjusting to not only playing in a COVID season, but also just playing Division I basketball, that could be a big challenge. So do you kind of approach it that way? Do you see this team as having a bit of an advantage just because they are more experienced?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's definitely the case. When you have a more experienced team, especially not having exhibition games or scrimmages, I mean, that's really tough. I know one of the biggest factors for us after our first game was conditioning. I mean, we just weren't used to playing a 40-minute game. And I think that's where those exhibition games and those scrimmages really help you, is because it simulates what it's like conditioning wise to play a full game, and you're kind of just thrown in the fire and you have to figure it out on the go. And fortunately, we're older, we have some depth. So I think that's helped us tremendously be able to, withstand that part of it. And then also just being older in terms of the preparation, we're used to it. We're used to going through scouting reports. We're used to going through walkthroughs. And I think that has helped us as well. We went from a very young team to now a more experienced team. And anytime you have that, I think in college basketball, no matter what the circumstances are, it definitely helps you.
And with this roster, I mean, you guys have started really strong out of the gates on the defensive side. Has that been a point of emphasis throughout the offseason? Is it something that your guys just thrive on? Just talk a little bit about the defensive side and what you see out of this year's team.
Yeah, I think last year we were a little disappointed in ourselves. Our defense started off pretty well, and then it kind of slipped up through the end of the season. And we had some injuries that not to make excuses, that really hurt us. But, at the end of the day, you still have to play, you still have to defend. And we went into this season with the mindset that no matter what happens, that's going to be our base. That's going to be what we can hang our hat on a daily basis, defense and toughness. And from the first workouts that we've had as a team, going back to the fall, when we got our guys back, it was a defensive emphasis. It was getting in a stance, covering for each other, and being tough and rebounding. And that's something that we, I think, have started to take personal. And we started in practice, and our guys have really started to embrace it. And it's something that we're really excited about. And we want to make sure that we continue to do it throughout the season, because we know that if we can defend and rebound, you're always going to give yourself a chance to win. And there's no question that our guys have embraced it early in the season. And now it's our job as coaches to make sure that we stay consistent with it throughout the rest of the season.
And what would you like to see, maybe that you haven't seen out of your team so far, maybe as the season progresses, some of the things that you're trying to emphasize or get a little bit better on as the year goes along?
Well, I think the obvious thing is we got to make a few more shots. As good as our defense has been, we haven't been as good offensively, and it's not a function of our offense per se. It's more of a function of just shots not going in. I mean, we're getting good looks. We're running our offense efficiently, but we're just not knocking down shots. And I think a part of that is maybe conditioning early in the season. We played 3 games in 4 days. And, if you don't have your legs on you, under you, it makes it a little harder to make shots. And then we went from playing 3 games in 4 days to now going on the road and having to play in an NBA G League facility, which is great and nice. But then you have the NBA 3-point line out there, and now guys are starting to shoot NBA threes. And it's like, hey, no, toe up to the college line. You don't have to take NBA threes. And the further you go out, the lower your percentage gets. So I think that a combination of those things have hurt us a little bit. But I think as we continue to practice in this new facility and get our conditioning, our legs underneath us, I think our shots will start falling, because it's guys that have made shots in the past. And so I think it's just a matter of time before that starts to happen. And I think once we get that going in a combination with our defense, we'll end up being a much better team. And
as you look around the conference, WCC has been off to a really strong start. Of course, Gonzaga, but a lot of the other teams, Pepperdine, Loyola, Marymount, their squads have played well to this point in the season. What is your general takeaway or some of the headlines that you see out of the league, and how do you kind of see your roster fitting into that whole group?
I mean, our conference is good. Our conference is good. It's as good as I can ever remember it. I was in the WCC 10, 12 years ago, left, came back, and it's as good as I can ever remember it. I mean, Gonzaga is recruiting with anybody in the country, and they're their own monster. But the rest of the league is really good too. And I like to describe it this way. I mean, you could take the 5th or 6th place team in the WCC and put them up against the 5th or 6th place team in the Pac-12 and put them on a neutral site, and it's 50-50. You don't know who's going to win. Our conference is good. And so, from top to bottom, you've already seen, some good wins within our conference, and, San Francisco beating Virginia and Gonzaga doing what they're doing. BYU's off to a great start. Pepperdine has played some really tough games, took UCLA to triple overtime. So we're in for a dogfight. It's going to be a year in and year out now. It's going to be a tough conference, and the tougher team's going to win, because there's no easy games. There's no gimmies. Every night is going to be, I mean, it's going to be a fight. But I think that with our team, with our experience now and our renewed toughness, I think that gives us a chance to really compete with anybody in our conference.
And with, I mean, home court being such a big deal, especially in conference play and then the WCC, where you have a lot of these environments that are challenging to play. How does this work out now with you guys playing in the G League arena? Obviously, it's a unfamiliar environment. Do you have to approach it differently, or do you just roll the ball out and see what happens for 40 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're fortunate that we get to practice there, and we've just started to practice there. We've gotten 4 or 5 practices under our belt in the new facility, and we just got to make the best of it. There's no excuses, and we just have to roll with it. And this year more than ever, you just have to kind of figure things out and just be mentally tough. And I think that's the only way to approach it. We don't really talk about it. We just we just go out there and we have to do our jobs, and that's the most important thing. And I think if we do that, we'll be fine.
And with this roster in particular, some of the individuals on this team who have stepped up, like, who are some of the faces on this team who are you're looking at and you're leaning on as the season progresses?
Well, we have some good depth. We're very fortunate that way. So the thing I like most about our roster is on any given night, you know, there's a number of guys that can have great games and lead us to victory. It probably starts with you know, one of our senior leaders, Josip Rankic, who is a preseason first team all league, all conference, and he's had some tremendous games to start with. And you know, he's been a 4-year starter and been with the program. Our first recruit at Santa Clara, and really the guy that's been here from day one, and he's seen the development from where we started to where we're at now. But really, like I said, beyond there's a number of guys. It's not just Josip. I mean, we have a great backcourt with Christian Carlisle, who's a transfer from Florida Gulf Coast, who's been tremendous for us. Just a tough kid who just makes a bunch of winning plays, and Jalen Williams, who's really emerged as a sophomore, who's really grown up a lot and just has a tremendous future. You know, Keyshawn Justice, our starting 3 right now, who's a junior and has a ton of experience. And we have Willie Caruso back, who missed all of conference last year. Who last year in December was just starting to come into his own. Came off a 25-point game and 25 and 15 rebound game, and then got hurt and missed the rest of the season. So we have him back, and he's just starting to work his way back with his conditioning and stuff. And Jaden Bediako was our backup center, now starting for us. And he's been tremendous. He had a 15-point game. I think he's averaging 9 rebounds a game right now. So we have DJ Mitchell, who's been coming off the bench and just giving us a huge lift, playing the 4 and the 3 for us. We just have a pretty deep roster with a bunch of guys that can come in and contribute. And then we have some guys that are you know, that didn't play a whole lot last year or redshirted last year that are now you know, able to play, and Jordan Williams and Miguel Tomley, and then a freshman in Trent Hudgens. I mean, we really have you know, some good depth here, and on any given night, different guys can give us different lifts.
One of the things that I noticed about the Santa Clara roster when I go from top to bottom, just a lot of height and a lot of size on this team. Is that, from your perspective, is it kind of by design, or is it just the players who rolled in? And a second part on that, how do you use that to your advantage? Obviously, things like rebounding and maybe playing the passing lanes can be improved by that. But just what is it like when most of your guys are going to be standing at least 6'7", 6'8"?
Yeah, no, that's a great observation, and it's definitely by design. We love, you know, big guards, and then it's always better when you have length up front, and that's a given. But I think something that we did in the offseason is we really studied the Miami Heat and their defense and the way they play, and the pack line and beating the gaps and kind of forcing teams to take tough twos. And if you can eliminate the other team getting layups and points in the paint, and you force teams to play on the perimeter and take jump shots, and you have length, now teams are taking a lot of contested jump shots. And that's something that is certainly by design, certainly a focus of ours. And it's going to continue to be a focus on the recruiting trail, is to get, you know, big guards and length up front. And if you do that in combination with the defense that we're playing now and forcing guys to take those tough contested twos, makes it really hard on the offense. And you know, we always talk about, hey, we'll live with tough twos. If guys are going to take, you know, pull up jumpers off the dribble over size and length, we'll live with that all day long. We don't feel like teams can make enough of those to beat us. And that's something that we talk about on a daily basis in practice. So it's certainly by design and an emphasis for us.
Jay, thanks so much, man, for coming on. I got a few more before we let you go.
Sure.
Yeah, so you've done some things. We'll talk a little bit about you specifically. You've done some things outside of just the game of basketball. The pandemic had all of us kind of shut down, and we couldn't do some of the things we were normal and used to. Talk a little bit about one organization that you're a part of. We're talked a lot about this with rising coaches in college basketball, NBA basketball, and our world period, just about just working for more social equality and justice in general. So talk a little bit about the organization you're a part of, and then just talk a little bit about your career and how you ended up at Santa Clara, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So why don't I start? So I started off as a student manager at UCLA and worked for Steve Lavin for 2 years. And then Ben Howland came in my junior year. And, him and I struck a good friendship. And when he came in, I really saw the game from a different perspective. And that's when I realized maybe after my senior year that I wanted to get into coaching. And I was fortunate enough to be able to stay on the coaching staff as a volunteer, kind of assistant video coordinator. And that's really how I got my start. And we were really good at the time. So I was blessed to be a part of some unbelievable teams that were going to Final Fours. And we had guys like Russell Westbrook and Aaron Aflalo and Darren Collison. It was a really fun time. So I got exposed to the game really early. I mean, shoot, you can't beat you can't beat going to Final Fours. And so that's where I got my start. And then Kerry Keating, who was an assistant on the staff, got the head coaching job at Santa Clara. So he got the head coaching job there, and I ended up going there and getting my first paid position in coaching. So I spent 2 years at Santa Clara as the video coordinator and director of ops, and then Ben Howland hired me back at UCLA as the video coordinator and then director of player development and scouting. So I came back to UCLA after 2 years at Santa Clara, spent 4 years at UCLA, and then had another great experience. Obviously, my alma mater. I'm from Los Angeles, so nothing beats coaching and working for your alma mater in your hometown. Then I ended up at Arizona State with Herb Sendek, and very fortunate. We had some mutual friends that helped me get on there, and then I worked for Coach Sendek for 2 seasons at Arizona State, and then I left to Mississippi State for 1 year with Ben Howland. He took the job there. And I was on his first staff there, spent 1 year there in Starkville, Mississippi, had a great experience, amazing people. And then Coach Sendek got the job at Santa Clara, and he said, "Hey, do you want to come back to California?" And I said, "Absolutely." I'm a California guy, born and raised in LA. So the opportunity to come back and be an assistant coach, most importantly, in California was a tremendous opportunity I couldn't pass up. So I came back, and now I've been with Coach Sendek here going on my 5th season, and it's been a tremendous experience, and very grateful for Coach Sendek giving me the opportunity. He's an amazing teacher. I learn from him every day, and I'm excited about the direction that our program's going. But then going back to your question about the organization, are you referring to the Latino Association of Basketball Coaches, Brian?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So about 7-8 years ago, myself, along with a friend of mine, Leo Schwartzberg, we decided that we were going to start the Latino Association of Basketball Coaches. And the reason for it was we just felt like there was no network for us. We didn't know who we were in the business. There was no camaraderie, no connection. We didn't know each other. And we felt like there'd be power in numbers. And if we all got to know each other, all the Latino coaches, that we could help each other, and we could be more powerful in helping advance each other in the business. So it started off really small. We probably had 7 people the first meeting, if that. And some of them, in that meeting, I was very fortunate because there was a guy by the name of Terry Layton who showed up, and he had worked for Nike, and he was in charge of Latin American basketball. So he knew everybody in the Latin American world for basketball, and he became really a friend and a mentor for me in helping shape this organization and helping me get connected with everyone. And Terry passed away a couple years from cancer, and but was an amazing person, amazing friend, and really I have a lot of gratitude for him, because I really owe a lot of what this organization has become to him because of the relationships that he opened up for me. And then we ended up getting Frank Martin involved, and Sergio Rocco, who was so instrumental. He's kind of the OG of Latino coaches. He knows everybody. He's been a head coach in Division I, been a longtime assistant coach, and there's not one Latino coach that he's not connected to. So he really helped connect all the dots for me and the organization. And now fast forward 7-8 years later, we've really gotten organized. We've had tremendous momentum, and we just started up our website. It should be launched here any week. We're going to create membership. We have all these awesome incentives for coaches and not just college coaches, college coaches from all walks of life, whether it's high school, junior college, professional, any Division I, II, or III, NAIA. We want coaches from all levels to be a part of this. And really the most important thing is to create a network for all these coaches to know that, hey, we're going to help each other. We're going to be able to rely on each other. If you need advice, you have this organization here to help you with whatever issues you're going through, or to help you advance in the business, no matter what level you want to coach at. And, you know, just to, I'll tell you a quick story. When we had just kind of got this thing started with social media and stuff, there was a young coach who DM'd us and said, "Hey, I didn't even know this organization existed. I'm a coach. I'm struggling. I was literally about to quit coaching. But then when I found out about this organization and that there's others like me, it gave me renewed inspiration to continue my path to be a coach." And if we can help young men and women like that and give them just a little hope, a little inspiration that, hey, if this is your passion, then go ahead and go for it, then we're doing our job. And that I'm really proud of the staff that I have helping this organization, and they've been working tirelessly to make this happen. So very proud of our organization.
Yeah, awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff. Love it. And so important to do, period. You know, just for people, no matter what line of work you're in, you know, just to be able to relate and have a group that you can kind of connect to help navigate and have teammates to go through it with, I think is just important in any field. I know Eli's got a bunch of really smart media guys that he has his team with, and, you know, everybody needs that no matter what field you're in. So salute to you guys for what you're doing. We'll end you real quick with two-part, okay? It's got to be about Coach Sendek. So I work with Lamont Smith, a tremendous head coach who also was in the WCC. I think you guys may have worked together possibly at Arizona.
Yeah, we did.
I thought
at Santa Clara, actually at Santa Clara.
Ah, okay.
He had one quick year. He had one quick year here back with Kerry Keating as head coach. Right, we worked together. Right. Lamont's a good friend.
Yeah, really tremendous basketball coach, and was there with in the WCC, had success at San Diego, and I worked with him at UTEP. And he talks about Coach Sendek and how legendary he is, and just how he looks at the game, how he challenges guys in the offseason, like you talked about with the Miami Heat, going to learn their defense, and just kind of always innovative. He has a great tree of guys that have gone on, Dedrick Taylor, Scott Pera, Lamont Smith, have gone on to be head coaches. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of others that he's had, but talk a little bit about Coach, and then you got to tell us one funny story about Coach before you go.
Oh my gosh!
It's got to be about Coach. It's got to be about the team. It's got to be about Coach. Of course, it's got to be appropriate, but even something funny he's done to you to kind of challenge you or push you.
Oh my gosh! Dang, that's a tough one. Well, I mean, I have to think about this, but I'll start off, just talking about Coach Sendek in general, and he is an unbelievable teacher of the game. And like you said, like nothing. Like no stone goes unturned, and he's just an incredible teacher. He's a tireless worker. Like he challenges us because it's like, well, shoot, we can't let that head coach outwork us. I mean, usually it's the assistants that got to grind it out, and he's just so consistent. He's a guy who he gets to the office every day at the same time, and he leaves every day at the same time. And in between those hours that he's in the office, there's zero wasted time. There's no hanging out, talk, like just not being there's no unproductive moments throughout the day. So from the time he gets in, he has a plan and agenda. He's watching film, he's working on practice, he's meeting with players, he's doing something, he's meeting with administration. Everything is calculated out from the moment he walks into the office to the moment he leaves. So he doesn't stay till 11 o'clock at night, but he's very consistent between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., 6 p.m. There's just in that time span, he's doing something. And that's something that I think I've learned most importantly from him, is to like make every moment count throughout the day and be productive and don't waste time. And when you do that, then it's amazing to see the results on a daily basis. So that's one thing that really stands out to me most about Coach Sendek. Above and beyond just being an incredible teacher. He has, I think, like 15 or 16 assistant coaches that have gone on to become head coaches. Sean Miller, Stan Johnson, Barrett Perry, John Gross. I mean, the list goes on. It's incredible. And it's a testament to the teacher of the game that he is, because not only is he an incredible teacher to the players, but he's an incredible teacher to the assistant coaches that are working for him. And like I said, we learn from him every day. And he has an incredible memory. He'll be like, well, hey, back when I worked 5-star camp 25 years ago, we ran this drill and we did it this way. And it's like, oh my gosh, how do you remember that? Like, that's incredible. But let me see a story. You know, the story that I like, and I'm not even gonna be able to tell it like he tells it. Not even close. He's a way better storyteller than I am. But I always like hearing the Wally Zerbiak story, and,
Okay.
and that's something that I can't. Yeah, it's just always great to hear. It's not. I don't know. It's not really funny, but it's just a cool story.
Tell it anyway.
And yeah, so Coach Sendek was the head coach at Miami of Ohio. Billy Donovan was the head coach at Marshall at the time. And they, I don't know if you know this, but Coach Sendek was an assistant coach at Providence College for Rick Pitino. Jeff Van Gundy was the GA, and Billy Donovan was the point guard. So that's like their coaching tree fraternity. Like they all started together. So fast forward years later, Coach Sendek's a head coach, Billy Donovan's a head coach, and they're at this tournament back east somewhere in New York. And Billy Donovan's dad is just like this old school, longtime basketball guy, goes to all the games, knows everybody. And he goes up to both Coach Donovan and Coach Sendek and says, "Hey, you got to watch this kid. This kid's really good. You got to watch him. You got to watch him." And it's Wally Zerbiak. So he watch this kid. So they're at the game watching him, and he's playing on this New York AAU team. I forget what I forget the name of the AAU team, but it was like the most prominent AAU team in all of the East Coast at the time. Equivalent of like the best EYBL team. And Wally Zerbiak's like the sixth man on this team, and the other five guys are all going to the Big East and the ACC, and they're just super talented. And they're watching this kid, and he doesn't wow anybody, but every time he goes in, it's like, he's 4 for 5 from 3, 4 for 4 from the foul line. Then the next game, he's 5 for 7 from the field, knocks down 2 threes, and he's again 6 for 6 from the foul line. Then the next game, he's 4 for 6 from the field, and he's just super consistent. And Coach Sendek's sitting there, and he's like, if this kid keeps playing this way, there's no way we're gonna get him. There's no way. Like, and he's just like, oh my gosh, like what? I hope this kid stops playing so well, but he just doesn't do enough. And everybody's like, well, he's not quick enough to be a 3, but he's too small to be a 4. So all these Big East schools and ACC schools are overlooking him. And Coach Sendek just stays consistent. He's just going to every game, watching him, and again, he's being consistent. And then sure enough, the summer ends, and it comes down to Miami of Ohio and an Ivy League school. And Wally Zerbiak visits Miami of Ohio and commits on the spot. And the rest is history. He ends up being a lottery pick, NBA All-Star, and it's all because of Billy Donovan's father. And Billy Donovan should listen to his dad, because I think Marshall stopped recruiting him or something. But sure enough, that's how he got Wally Zerbiak. So I just think that's a cool story, because it just shows Coach Sendek's consistency and perseverance, and not being discouraged, and just being consistent with the recruiting process, and then the rest is history, obviously.
And now he holds you guys to that same standard, right?
No question. You got to bring it every day with him, because he's not missing anything. And I'll leave one last thing about Coach Sendek, and I think here's the most important part about him as a head coach, is he doesn't pigeonhole you in any way. You have to be well-rounded. Like, you can't be just a recruiter. You can't be just the X's and O's guy. You have to be able to do everything. You better be able to recruit at a high level. You better be able to coach on the floor at a high level. You better be able to watch film and evaluate and prepare at a high level. You have to do everything at a high level. And he's very demanding that way. And I think that's a big reason why his assistants go on to be so successful, is because while you work for him, you have to be prepared in every aspect of coaching. And it really helps you. It helps you prepare. And it's tough, and it's hard, and it's a grind. But at the end of the day, it really helps you. And I think that's why, again, so many guys have gone on to be so successful working for him.
Yeah, great stuff, Jay. Thanks so much for joining us, man. Good luck the rest of the way, and stay safe for sure. And tell the rest of the staff, Coach Garson, another really good coach, and I don't know the other gentleman on your staff, but tell everybody we said hello, and we're pulling for you here at Heat Check Basketball.
Hey, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys having me.